Just a heads up, there is some more Dauntless loot on Twitch, so if you have Amazon Prime and a Twitch account, link the two, get Twitch Prime, and go claim your loot. Also keep in mind you have a free sub, use that for your favorite streamer, or pick a budget streamer like myself if you ain't got nothing else, alright? Just saying. Amen, brother. How's it going, y'all? My name is OhDough, and today I'm discussing the new Lady Luck store, but more specifically, the new cells in this store. So if you don't know, Lady Luck is pretty much the person that brought over the new Trials map. So she pretty much brought a whole island with her and her whole gang of pirates, so that's here now. But the interesting part is what's in her store. So aside from all the mod specials, which I'll be going over later in other videos, I'll be talking about these cells. There are 3 cells. There is the Berserker Cell, Engineer Cell, and the Strategist Cell. So Technique, Utility, and Defense. And it's important to note that these cells are purchased from Lady Luck's store, the Lucky Break, with steel marks. And steel marks are acquired from the Trials mode on normal difficulty. So you can get up to 300 steel marks per week. And if you can do that, you can go ahead and buy 2 cells per week. Now I'm going to go ahead and discuss the cells, and we'll start off with Berserker Cells since that's the best thing to buy from the store, in my opinion, right off the bat. Now, every single cell has a negative effect, and what that means is you'll get a benefit, but you also have a drawback. For the Berserker Cell, you'll actually lose max health for the higher bonus you have of the cell. So at +6, you'll be losing 300 total max health. And this can definitely make a difference, especially in Trials mode. But the benefit is that after dealing damage, you gain 3.5% damage for 3 seconds that stacks 10 times. This is the +6 bonus. At +5, you'll have -250 health, and the bonus will be 3%. At 4, -200 health with a 2.5% bonus. 3, 150 health with a 2% bonus. 2, 100 health with a 1.5% bonus. And 1, -50 health for a 1% damage bonus. Now, my initial benefits towards this cell was that repeaters would be the only weapon to benefit from this cell, but as it turns out, every single weapon except for the axe can benefit from the cell in some capacity. Now, the hammer is somewhat technical to make it work, but it definitely can. You can totally maintain this buff, especially with just something like a +6 conduit. That helps you maintain the buff as long as you're doing the uppercuts. Doing this combo will help you maintain stacks, but if you do end up getting out of range of the behemoth, you'll lose stacks, and building them with a hammer does take a bit of time. Now the sword, it's actually a really good pick for the sword just because you can be really agile and you can pretty much get a hit in whenever you want to. The hammer, you can still do it, just not as well. And as for the chain blades and the war pike, you can maintain stacks really easily, especially since those weapons attack very rapidly. And the best choice for this cell is going to be the repeaters, just because of the range. Most weapons, if you're out of range, you can't maintain the stacks because you can't hit the behemoth. Repeaters, you can hit the behemoth. Doing any amount of damage will refresh the cooldown. And that is a pretty good mechanic and a pretty fun time. That is if you don't get hit. Because when you get hit, you will feel it, and you will in some cases just die. So, it takes a lot of practice, and this cell does have some drawbacks, but the benefits are really nice, especially if you're trying to try hard and go for the best time possible on a behemoth, or just pop off, so it's a good time. Now the next cell will be Engineer, and this is a utility slot cell, and instead of being an offensive perk, this will instead be a supportive perk. And this will, for one, reduce your flask healing by 180, so that is the caveat, and that's the negative of this cell. But the benefit is you'll get 150% increased Pylon range, which is actually much bigger than it might seem, just trust me. And this does make a difference because pylons do not have that big of a range, and there are many cases where you'll plant a pylon and the behemoth walks just out of range of said pylon. But with Engineer, that will not happen nearly as frequently. So the breakdown of this cell starting at +6, you will lose 180 healing on your flask, but gain 150 increased bonus range to the pylon. At +5, your flask heals for 150, and you'll get 115% increased pylon range. At +4, you'll lose 120 healing, but you'll gain 8% increased pylon range. At +3, 90 healing, but 65% increased range. At +2, 60 healing and 50% increased range to the pylon. And at +1, you will lose 30 healing per potion, but gain 35% increased pylon range. And something I just thought of is that these cells only come in +3 from the Lady Luck store currently, so I'm assuming in the future we'll have gear with these cells on it, and that's why they have the different breakdowns for it, but that's just my thoughts. Otherwise, I'm just wasting y'all's time, and I apologize. Anyway, there are currently 3 pawns in the game, and these will be affected by this cell. There is the Inspiring Pylon, and when you place this pylon, it grants everyone in the circle 25% increased damage for 45 seconds. And then you have the Ironhide Pylon. This will give you 4% increased damage reduction for 45 seconds. So this is a really good pick if a fight's just going to destroy you. And it's actually a good pick if your teammates are running, say, the Berserker Cell. It'll reduce the damage they take, making that cell not so detrimental if they're not good at dodging. Now the last pylon will be the Lifespring Pylon. So place this and you'll restore 22 health per second for 20 seconds. So basically 440 health, if I can math right. I think that's accurate. That's per pylon. You can carry, I believe, 3 if you have certain mastery. So it's a pretty good chunk of healing, and it will be a really big radius, making it so you don't have to stick to one spot, and in some cases get bodied in that one spot. So it's really nice for just the AoE effect that this cell can bring to these pylons. Now the last cell is going to be the Strategist Cell, and this has the exact same negatives as the Berserker Cell, so it's going to be a loss to health. So at +6, 300 health, and then so on and so forth. As for the benefit, when you dodge to an attack, you will grant 150 shields to all Slayers. That includes yourself and your teammates. And if you're anything like me, you might think to yourself, oh, I can keep dodging to attacks and get permanent shields and just not die. That is, however, not the case whatsoever. Once you dodge to an attack, you'll have a shield icon on your buff bar. This means you have 150 shields unless you get hit, and this also means you cannot dodge to another attack to generate more shields until it fades away. Once it does fade away, the shields you have remaining from that first dodge roll will also be gone, but you can once again roll to an attack and get some extra shields for yourself and your teammates. So it's actually a pretty nice buff, and it's not overpowered, which is a really nice thing, because it seems that all the defensive perks in this game are getting a little out of hand, not by themselves, but when they're combined with other perks. And an example of this is, say, Iceborne and Tough. But in this case, I would say that maybe the Strategist Cell or Strategist Cell, I keep saying it wrong, but whatever. This cell combined with, say, Guardian and the Rockfall Skarnax could get a little ridiculous, but it could just be me, but I feel like the shield duration on the Rockfall Axe also got nerfed, so that could be a way to counteract this sort of like shield stacking nonsense that could happen, but I'm nowhere near 100% certain on that being the case. Regardless though, I think that all these cells are really cool, and I like the fact they have a negative to them, so there's a risk and reward to the cells right off the bat. And I will say that even Predator Cell, which might seem kind of busted, it's actually really hard to keep up, especially with most weapons. Repeaters, it can be somewhat easy to an extent, but you have to manage your reloads and all that kind of stuff. And I just like the fact that you have more team-oriented cells in the mix, because Engineer is a really awesome team-oriented cell. It makes it so pylons actually feel a bit more useful, and they're not just, oh hey, place on the pylon, Behemoth runs to Narnia, and now you have a light show in the distance. So fantastic. But my main thing is it's nice to have cells that are actually just not the generic, oh hey, you get more damage because it's a certain mode. Instead, you get more damage and you also lose health, so there's a negative right there. And it's also nice to see that you have cells that actually buff certain aspects of the game that aren't that great on their own because they require really nice placement and also the behemoths to work with you. So having a cell like the Engineer in a group could make a pretty big difference, especially if that teammate is buffing everyone else in that party. Solo might not be that wild, but the main thing here is to have a party buff. That's the whole point of the pylons. And the last thing I want to say is that the Strategist Cell could be really cool and really unique if you had a fight that you had to actually soak damage, and to do that you had to actually dodge properly on, say, like a timed beat. Like something to that degree, I don't know. Like, I want to see some more interesting combat mechanics like that in the future, but that is all from me, guys. If you liked the video, leave a like. If you want to, comment down below what cells you want to see in the future and sort of what mechanics you want to see as well. And if you like this video and you want to see more like it, be sure to subscribe to this channel for more Dauntless content as to what I do here. And people seem to like it, and I greatly appreciate the folks that watch this. Also, if you guys don't know, I do stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/OhDough. I'm a very interactive streamer, and I'll be streaming the new Trials mode today, pretty much the entire day. So stop by, see how it's done if you want to, and possibly get a run in, because I think I'll be doing some normal runs with Revy, and we'll have room for someone from my stream and someone from his stream. We'll see what goes down. And the last plug will be my Epic Games support credit code. It's just OhDough, it's my name. Use that in the Epic Games store or in Dauntless when you're buying plat or buying transmog skins or anything that they like, because that supports me and it helps out a ton. Trust me, if you're not using my code, then be sure to use someone else's, because those codes do not cost you anything at all to use except for maybe 5 seconds of typing. Not a big deal, but my suggestions for other creators are going to be Riverrad, Zenny Phantom, Akeda, January and on, and you know, Dauntless partners. That's my go-to pick because they make content for this game and they're pretty much good people for the most part. Anyway, y'all, that's it from me. Thank you again for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Did you stagger it?
It enrages, so it's
Yeah, true.
taking a reduction.
What? Let's go, dude.
Yo.